Hi everybody, this is Alice, Bejeweled Hedgehog again, and I am here to do the Getting to Know You tag that Poet Spice did. I thought it was fun, and I've seen several other people do it, and I will go to her website, her video, and get the questions and put them down below in case anyone else wants to do it. But I've got my questions right here, so here we go. Are you named after anyone? Yes, I am. I am named after my mother's youngest sister. Her first name was Alice. Her last name was Field, and so that is my middle name. So I'm Alice Field, literally after her younger sister. But it's funny, they never got along. I have no idea why I am named after her. But anyway, when was the last time I cried? I get teary pretty easily, and teary is sometimes not necessarily sadness, but just being moved by something. I was moved by someone's vlog, and I got teary just this evening. In terms of cry, like, big, heavy tears, and like sobbing or whatever, I guess it was in December, because my mother passed away. I mean, it was a really difficult relationship, but it's bizarre. No matter how difficult the relationship is, there is something really traumatic. Anyway, at some point I'll talk about that in a vlog maybe, but stick to the program, Alice. These are the questions. Do you have kids? I have nieces, 3 nieces. Beanie, who is 14 and will be 15 in May, Kat, who is 13, and Duck, who will be 11 in May. She's been spoken about a lot, and I kind of have a son. I know that is the strangest answer. I have sort of an adopted but unofficially adopted grown-up son. So anyway, here's the story behind that. His name is Jermaine. Let's see, how long have I known him? Since, I guess, about the year that my oldest niece was born, so that would be about 15 years, 15, 16 years. Now you have to understand, I'm 50, so, if I call someone my adopted son, unofficially, he's 30, okay? But basically, we got to know each other when I hired him to work in my department, and he's, moved on out of that company, way surpassed me, because he's very, very smart, and he's also very driven and very motivated. He wants to be successful, and he is just flying. He just, every job change is a promotion, usually a substantial one. He will look for a job while he's in a current one to plan his next move, to make sure it goes up. So yeah, I mean, and he's sort of, my son who surpassed me ages ago. But anyhow, let's see, I hired him, and he claims that I mentored him. I claim that I just, I don't know, treated him like everybody else. But anyway, and it's interesting because our personalities are kind of similar, and we have a lot of similar interests. And the funny thing, the thing that made me start thinking of him as a son was, I have a cousin who was, has been like a best friend to me when we were growing up, even though she's 8 years older. And when I realized that Jermaine's mother was the same age as my cousin, who I considered my best friend, this was one of like the rare moments in my life when I'm like, oh, I'm a grown-up. How did that happen? But it's like, wait a minute. His mother is the same age as someone I consider my best friend. That means conceivably that I could have a child just like Jermaine. I mean, I could have this really fascinating, nifty, intelligent, funny person if I'd happened to have a child. And so I just kind of at that point declared, Jermaine, you are my adopted son, and that's all there is to it. And oddly enough, we've stayed best friends for all this time. And, we don't always hang out because he has, the typical, he belongs to a pool league and he does the sports bar thing. And I do the sit at home and read and crochet thing. But somehow or the other, I view him as my son and he views me as, an extra mother. I'm not sure he really wants, but he's got one, so he's stuck with it. Okay. And I have had I had a cat that I raised. I don't have a picture of that cat with me right now because of the hideous bed bugs that didn't exist that I still had to get treated for, so stuff went in boxes. But Bruno asked to see one of those pictures, and I will get a picture out. Her name was Rue, a girl kitty cat, and I had her for 20 years. And I guess, I considered her a daughter. Oh well. Yeah, crazy ladies who crochet and have cats. Anyway, do I use sarcasm a lot? Yes, actually I do. I use it at my niece's all the time. Will I ever bungee jump? Is anyone seriously asking me that? What's your favorite cereal? If I'm going to have a morning breakfast cereal, I like hot cereals, and the one I like is called Wheatina. Now, in terms of my favorite cereal, I love the sugary crap, and I eat the sugary crap as a treat. So, Captain Crunch, peanut butter Captain Crunch, Frosted Flakes. If it has the word sugar in the title anywhere, then it's, a favorite snack. What's the first thing you notice about people? It's hard to come up with a generic answer for that. I think the first thing I notice about people is would be their expressions and what they're doing. If people are just standing in line in the grocery store, I think I notice clothes and jewelry, anything, any kind of accessory that looks like it's handmade. If they're just standing there with that zone out look. Yeah, so I think I would notice, jewelry, what they're wearing, can I find something cool? But if I see people moving around and interacting, I think the first thing that I notice are the expressions on their faces, their voices, what they're doing. What's your eye color? Brown. Scary movies or happy endings? Honestly, it depends on the movie. It really, really does. I don't like, when they say scary movies, I like scary movies, like supernatural or suspenseful. I don't like what I call icky movies. I don't mean to offend anybody, but, there's some movies out there like Saw and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and those are not really what I consider scary. Obviously not happy endings. But really it depends on the individual movie. Favorite smells? Don't get me going. I'll have to shut myself up. I like spring. I think spring smells wonderful. And yes, to me, spring has a smell. The air in the spring is different from the air in any other season. I love that after the air smell. But I also like that first thing in the morning when it's very, very cold and the winter smell. And I like that kind of heavy, grassy, summery smell. And I love the smell of flowers. I love geraniums. I love roses. Perfumes are nice, but nothing really captures it like the real, actual flower. The same with fruit. Fruit is amazing. Mandarin oranges are just, I could carry one around and sniff it all day. I like scents. I like smells. That's enough. Be quiet. Summer or winter? Well, spring and fall are my favorites. Between summer or winter, I love the green, lush luxury and the sounds of summer with the birds and the cicadas and all those wonderful things. The heat and the humidity and the air that just does not move and wraps you up like a blanket and tries to suffocate you. You get the picture. Winter, I have moments when I like the visual appearance of winter. I like the The skies, those beautiful pastel winter skies. To me, I always think if there's a time when magic and mystery could occur, it's when you have that pearly white sky with just the touches of color in it, and I love it, and the black lace trees against it. But I don't like snow and ice. I can't say. There's a little of both. I think, honestly, I would like summer if it didn't get quite so hot. Computer or television, that's no-brainer. Computer, because not only do I YouTube all the time, I also stream. I have a TV. At some point I think maybe I'll do an apartment tour or something, but there's a TV over there, but it's not hooked up to any cable or anything. And being in an apartment without a cable service, there's no such thing as reception. So I just got annoyed with it. There was nothing really on I wanted to watch, or if it was on and I wanted to watch it, it was never at the right time, and then I had to mess with DVRs and da-da-da. So anyway, computer. What's the furthest you've ever been from home? California. Do you have special talents? I don't think so. Not really. I'm just kind of ordinary. Where were you born? I was born, I can't remember the name. Oh, Suburban Hospital in Bethesda, Maryland. What are your hobbies? Okay, let's see. Reading, crafting, and crafting includes just about every craft under the sun. I crochet. I do some knitting, but not a lot because knitting makes my hands hurt more than crocheting. I love, love, love to make jewelry. I do some embroidery. I do some needlepoint. I'm dying to do plastic canvas, but I haven't done it yet. Like to do crafts with my nieces, so kind of pretty much any kid craft that you can think of. Reading, I guess I already said that. Oh, I love to go to museums. I think museums are really cool, and I like to go to interesting places. I know that sounds weird, but not every interesting place is a museum. Like Williamsburg is an interesting place. I mean, it's kind of like a recreated museum. Harper's Ferry is really cool, and I have a cousin who lives near there. I really like to take walks in these interesting places or in beautiful places. So I like to be outside. I like to take pictures of pretty things. I'm not never studied photography. I would not consider myself a photographer, so to speak, but there's so many beautiful places that really all you have to do is, point your camera at it and click, and you've got a beautiful photograph. Do I have any pets? Well, I just talked about Rue, the cat that I had for 20 years. Now, right after, I happened to have a picture, because it did not get buried in one of the boxes. Interesting story on this cat. This cat is upside down. You can see, if you get away from the glare, you can see a marmalade kitty in the background there. Yes, there is a small baby in the front. I think it's so cute that the cat and the baby are sleeping side by side, because that close relationship did not last. And that small baby, by the way, is my oldest niece, when she was baby. Basically, I guess someone who remembered that when my sister and I had lived at home with my parents, we had always had cats for pets. All I know is that one day my father gets up to go to his car, and there's a cat carrier with this orange cat in it who we named Max, and upside down again, and a little note, "You like cats, please take care of this one." And my parents were just, sort of flummoxed because they hadn't had cats in years, and they did not particularly like pets. The pets belonged to my sister and I. So, of course, my sister and I were called in, and I had Max for a brief period of time, but Rue was an only child. There had been another cat when I brought her in as a kitten, but after he passed away, there were no other cats. She would not tolerate it. I was her mother, and she was an only child. That was the end of that. So then Max moved to my sister, and she was on her own in her apartment, and they got along famously. She got married, and they moved to their townhouse, and everybody was happy. And Beanie, the oldest niece, came along, and I think at the beginning he thought she was another cat because she was small and kind of soft, and he liked her. But pretty soon he caught on to the fact that a lot of attention was being given to her and not to him. And so he started territorial peeing, and that's just sort of a self-explanatory term. And my brother-in-law was getting really, really irritated. And, not too long after that, Rue passed away. And I had not felt up to taking Max. I didn't think any other pet could ever fill the gap of Rue. But, that February, there was a really, really bad ice storm. And the power went out in their house when my brother-in-law was out of town on business. So my sister and the two nieces, she only had two at the time, and Max came to sleep over here and stay here in this little one-bedroom apartment. That was funny, until their power came back on. So my sister had brought, all kinds of baby gear. It was just incredible. It took a number of trips up, to the car to get everything up. So she said, well, do you mind if I leave Max behind while I get the babies home? And I'm like, that's fine. Well, she never came back and got Max. So I had Max until the end of his life, and he was a wonderful pet. And why can't I just say yes or no? Favorite movie? I have no idea. I like so many of them. I would say I have a tendency, well, I can't even say that. I like, some of the old black and white classics. I like funny movies. I like scary movies. I really like cute movies. I love Hoodwinked. Hoodwinked is just fabulous. So is Romeo and Juliet. Can't even begin to pick one. Do I have any siblings? Yes, I do. I have one sister. She is 4 years younger. What do I want to be when I grow up? Hopefully I will not grow up yet. I mean, I've been trying very hard not to, and it hasn't happened. But what do I want to be when I grow up? I want to be a firefighter, a ballerina, an astronaut, an archaeologist, a detective. Anyway, that's it. End of questions. Thank you, Jamie Lola Tallulah, for doing this. I have had a lot of fun. This was a great tag. Good night.